8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Blast off.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Hey, you're Forbes and Harrington, ain't you? Ain't you the guys that was up in space?
Yeah, but we can still buy a couple of beers for 30 cents Earth money.
Yeah, you bet your life, but your money's no good here. The drinks are in the house. I don't get to serve many celebrities. Now drink up, boys.
Thanks.
I don't even care that you cracked up the ship. And I'm a...
What's it like up there in outer space?
Well, it's like way out.
Yeah, it's like way out. Way out, man. Let's get this show started. So.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, not what you don't.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, before we get this thing started, we're going to do a taste test. Well, this is the traditional cola. It used to be number one. Teach the world to sing cola. Diet cola version. It's somewhat sweet. Somewhat, my refrigerator is somewhat warmer. I don't know, just something about it. It's really not that great. This is the one that Michael Jackson's hair caught in fire over. I don't know. Taken after the other one, it's a little medicine-y. And this is one of those diet colas. Well, Diet Fago, for the heck of it. I already put some of that in there. I mixed all three together to create this hybrid drink. The three of them together are like what am I doing? One never knows on this show. It's Flag Day. It's Flag Day. Today is Monday, June 14th. It's Flag Day. Do you have your flag out? You can see my acoustic foam in the background. Of course, the Mulder photo, the phone I used to use back in the day with the original Mac. Military stuff, Flag Day. Happy Flag Day. Look at my hair looks like what? Backlit. Everything you know is wrong. Everything you know is wrong. The Jackery. There's a tube down there. My book. This gets brighter. No one has bought this crazy device. Let's see if it's...
Sunrise today is at 5:45 a.m. and sunset is at 8:47 p.m.
Yeah, 8:47 sunset. Man, that's a pain. Especially when you get up at like... It's 4:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I got up at like 3 something today. Excuse me for belching. I'm allowed to do that because I'm on this thing, and you're not. And for no reason... we're getting a delay. What's wrong with this thing? Is it because of this? Let's see. All right, I had another window open. Maybe that was it. See, I wasn't paying attention to myself. I don't know. Yesterday's show, I actually canceled. I deleted myself because of this. And I thought it was because I had a filter. But I don't know. My machine was off overnight. It's not particularly super hot in here. I did want to show you my shirt for a second. So this shouldn't affect it, but I have you don't know, this little thing from the microphone on there. Oh no, the wire here. You don't know what you don't know. Okay? T-shirt. It's really a very comfortable shirt, and I highly recommend you get it. Pay no attention to that disorderly mess over there. All right. I seem to be in sync. So, the weekend's over.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
All right, I promise. I promise to be a better person. Well, not really. I mean, I am already a better person. Pretty much, though. I promise to try to produce a better show. Perhaps. I'm going to go to my latest transfers.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
There's like some kind of weird flashing lights out there. I don't know.
Funky.
We're going to look at the weather anyway, so if you don't mind.
The Weather Watch.
The Weather Watch. It's 17 degrees, or it was. Let's see if it holds. No, it's 64 degrees currently here in the middle of nowhere. I noticed that the signal, I know I have a fuller sound. It's way fuller in my ear, but we're done with the testing. We're just going to accept it. Today it's going to be partly cloudy or partly sunny, depending on whether you're a half glass half full or a glass half empty sort of person. So, you decide. There's an 80% chance of a thunderstorm at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen until this afternoon. 81 degrees. And that's kind of why, because, we dipped down, I believe, into the low 60s. And it's going to get up into 80s. And sometimes when you have these, cold front hits heat, you get that thunderstorm potentiality. 57 degrees overnight. That's good sleeping weather. Tuesday, 40% chance of rain. They're calling for rain. 72 degrees for the high, 52 for the low. Wednesday, sunny all day, 72. Sunny and 72, but it's going to be 46 at night. Imagine that. That's okay. Plants are doing fine enough. They can handle that. The ground's warm. Thursday, another sunny day, 73. Those are like really nice days. Those are good grape, probably good grape and tomato weather days. And Friday, as we head towards the weekend, back up into 81. So it's probably going to be a hot weekend. But I cannot guarantee that you're going to have sun. Cannot guarantee that. I don't know if that's in real time doing that or not. No. But the green light back there on the Jackery seems to be fluttering, but it's not. The on-air light also appears to be... anyway, that was your...
The Weather Watch.
That was your Weather Watch. I've got them all. I'm one of the last guys who probably has most of that stuff, or at least uses it. You know, it's ridiculous. Now that's the... Well, you can't call it a combo. It's a trio. So it's a trio of Fago. Won't you gentlemen have a Pepsi? What movie is that from? Do you remember? He said, won't you gentlemen have a Pepsi? That's when like movies were like funny, right? When comedy was comedy, not like... Chair falling down as usual. That opening, choking, coughing, you know, whatever it was pretty crazy. Yesterday, if you were up at this point, which I don't know if many people were, except the Google algorithm or whatever it is, the YouTube studio, checking for things because they know that we...
making up the rules as we go along.
Sorry for that. It's part of my show. It's disgusting. I don't know what to do about it. I really don't know what to do. Really don't know what to do.
This calls for some big scratching.
I gotta get some caffeine in me. I think you can also hear the slurping. My knee. Remember I talked about the plate-sized bruise I had on my leg? Because I've fallen and I can't get up. It's not funny, but it happened to me. Well, I could get up. I landed my lip on like a cat thing. I'm surprised I didn't break my jaw. No wonder I have tooth problems all the time. It's crazy, you know. There's all kinds of activity out there with like bright light emergency type vehicles. What are they doing?
Shut your damn cake hole!
There's still one out there. You know, it's like, it's not right in front of my house. Well, it's kind of faded. I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, except maybe I didn't break this up. I'm not going to break it up. Because it's got no business getting itself anywhere near Muscle Man. It's got no business getting itself anywhere near any kind of creature that could get tangled up or eat that damn thing. That's the problem with the governors. right? Governors of the state. But Mr. Governor. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Mr. Governor. You got a problem. And there's no reason. Do you ever see that guy who goes like, what makes this song great? That was gonna be the title of my show today. What makes this song great? And I was gonna go through like one or two of those songs. And then, then I realized that would just be like pandering, trying to get people to listen to my music. Here's a mistake I made. I ordered from this Instacart place, which I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not monetized, any of that stuff. Because I was running low on morning colas for the show. And the thing about that is they're too heavy to carry because I don't drive. I got rid of, why have a car if you use it like once a month? Why pay car insurance and all that kind of stuff? And as I said many times before, I live below the poverty line intentionally. That way I don't have the stress of bills or anything like that. Or the stress to have to work. Overly stressed. And so, Echo. It's so weird. I don't know. I appreciate you watching these shows. I really do. But sometimes I think, man, I look at myself and I go, this guy's freaking crazy. These shows are nuts. I don't know. So anyway, I ordered this stuff because I can't carry. The store's a mile. It's like a mile something, mile and a half or something. 1.2 miles round trip. I don't know what it is. But the return trip is uphill. So, you're not going to go down there and buy an individual can or plastic bottle of a cola, Diet Cola, caffeine drink. Because they cost about $2 when you buy them individually, which is insane. It's like that earlier thing I played. If you were listening, you can still get a 30-cent beer here. Let me see here. This, I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. I'm going to slightly turn down the echo. Echo? Yeah, it's just slightly turned down. That may mean no echo or no full sound at all. I don't know. So they have this service now. It's called Instacart. I'm sure it's nationwide. I say I'm not sponsored by it. I have to say that because I'm not really sponsored by anything, even though in the beginning of this it said as the top, includes promotional or some kind of stupid thing like that. I just do that because I refer to the Great Solar Stuff, my book. Great Solar Stuff is where you can find all these neat power things. Right. Let's see. Put a little light in the subject back there. And I talk about my songs and things of that nature. And so I'm just covering my ass with the terms of service people. By the way, today's Flag Day, and that light put some light on the flag. And there's my book. And there's Maggie. And there's my head. And there's me, this goofy guy with glasses. So anyway, let's talk about Instagram. Because in the beginning of the show, we usually do this thing. Because it's like,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And it's my show. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. Cry if I want to. Cry if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you. That's like sung by, almost sounds like sung by somebody who's tone deaf. Anyway, if we can get around these tubes and wires, the morning show. Yesterday I held this thing up and you couldn't even see it, but if you look closely, you can see it's already sweating. See the beads of sweat, right? The humidity in my bedroom was like 59 or something when I woke up. I have one of these clocks. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's like you got to put batteries in it twice a year, which is a pain in the ass because then you have to set it. But if you touch the nightstand, it's got this white light around it. It's battery operated. It's like 3 AAA batteries. It lights up. And it tells you the time. It's got all this other information on there, but I have no way how to figure out how to set it. But it's got the time, temperature, and humidity. That's the part I've set. Forget about the days a week, the date and stuff. I mean, on the back of it, there's nothing like whatever. And I've got this instruction book. I look at it and I'm like, I'm lucky every time the batteries die, and they die, like I say, twice a year. You know, I'm like lucky I'm able to I'm like right now I got it working. But the temperature gauge on there is like, it's kind of weird because it's not truly. I'm gonna reduce this echo a little bit. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? All right. It's interfering with my headphones. I like to hear the reason I have headphones on and as opposed to not is because the sound effects come in through the headphones. And then I would have no idea when I could look at the time, but the time of the sound effects isn't necessarily true. Sometimes I've edited them by time. Like there's something else at the end. Like for example, when I did that thing, Weather Watch, if I would have left that on, I'll give you an example. What the heck? We'll just do this. See, I just wanted you to hear this.
The Weather Watch.
Right? But if I wouldn't have done that, okay, it's like, let me just pull this back. If I don't have headphones on, here's what might have occurred. I'll just do this.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Today will be partly sunny. Tonight, dark, followed by gradual light tomorrow morning.
You see, there's more to it. And now I even remember I could keep that forecast. And it's kind of funny. Tonight it's going to be dark and tomorrow it's going to be sunny. But now the more I think about that, let me just do a live demonstration of what we should do. So the next time we want to do this, we'll do it. We'll end it at forecast.
The Weather Watch forecast.
So it looks like forecast ends at 7 seconds or 3 seconds. So I'm going to go into, this is an older computer, G5. It's like 15 years old or something like that. So I can go into options. You can't do this anymore with computers. So we're going to try to end this. Oh, wrong computer. 03. Okay. So now let's just.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
Now I was able to hear that in my left ear, but it's pushing through mono through them, so you didn't hear that. But now let's try Weather Watch again.
The Weather Watch for.
Okay, see? So not enough time. So I have to go back to Get Info and forecast I don't know if going to 4 seconds is enough. I'll probably have to come back on this again. I keep hitting the wrong thing. All right. Let's try it again.
The Weather Watch forecast.
That's perfect. But you see, if I didn't have headphones on, I wouldn't know. You know, I'd have to memorize. Oh, that one ends at 4 seconds. This one ends at 2. See, because a lot of these clips are from longer things. You know, this is old radio. You know, this is from back at.
More solid gold music.
You know, so if I wanted music off there. Okay, so you understand. So I have to have headphones on if I'm going to play sound effects. So that's why I have it on. But it's annoying now. And it would be a lot easier for me to just like talk like this. You know? But I'm stuck. And I've been watching Star Trek Picard. And you say, what does that have to do with anything? Because I got that. Another thing. Again, I'm not monetized. So I got this Paramount. I was remember I was telling you, you know, that I was like watching this show because of this AJ Cook chick. You know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I got to remind people that in case people who tune in to this show, they wonder like, why am I talking about just nonsense? I thought it was about space or something, whatever the title card is. The beginning of the show, for those of you who have just found and discovered this, not live, but those who are watching this buried in ice in the government shelter after the Nova event. You're going to be buried alive there for the rest of your life, by the way. Sorry for the bad news. But what I'm saying is that for you folks who are just tuning in, voice synchronicity. I don't know. I think we're heading to locals, man. You know, Ruben, you gotta get a local servers better somehow. You got to get better servers so you have more capacity and more bandwidth. You got to let us maybe do, even if it's only an hour, we have to be able to do a live 1 hour show, and we need to be able to upload videos that are like 2 gigabytes. Yesterday, I tried to upload a video on locals, and it was 1.7 gigabytes. The thing was only like 10 minutes long, right? Tops. But it came out, it was high definition. I mean, these things aren't high definition. They're like 720. And that's YouTube Studio. I have no control over it. And the thing is, yesterday's video was high definition, but I recorded it through my, pre-recorded it. It was a produced video. So my camera recorded it at high def. So for some reason, this YouTube intentionally on a live stream defaults, at least on my machine, to this. And I see no way. I mean, let's look under the edit. I might as well read it, and then we'll get back into this Instacart thing, if I remember. Tony Caravan, the title of the show is Tony Caravan 61421. We're way out in space. And the title card, to remind you, if you clicked on this, this machine is acting very slow, shows this, nebula, solar event, star event. It says, we're way out there, the morning show. Okay? And the description, this way to the beach. Most people never think about the fact that we live on a planet that is hurling through space at 67,000 miles per hour. That's us going around our star, the sun. And our star / sun is dragging the solar system, which includes the Earth, of course, at 450,000 miles per hour. As Alan Watts said, we're already in space, way out in space. But as I look further down here, schedule date, visibility, restrictions, category, those are all filled out. The playlist, it's not made for kids. This stream contains paid promotion. That's a thing you got to put in there. Cover it. Tags, but they're tags can be useful if content in your stream is commonly misspelled. Otherwise, tags play a minimal role in helping viewers find your stream. A minimal role. Enter a comma after each tag. You know. So it's like, forget it. They're trying to tell you not to use a tag. Stream language, caption, title and description language, recording date. You know, might as well put today's date there. What the hell? Allow embedding. No idea what that is. Other people could, I guess, embed this. Show how many viewers like and dislike this stream. All right. So if you look at the title card and you read the description, everything seems that this show is going to be about space. And this idea of being way out in space. In other words, the Earth is a spaceship. And that's just not some like, you know, like the world is a big blue marble. We've already been through that. It ain't a big blue marble. It's a junk heap, space junk. You remember the picture of what the Earth really looks like with all the satellites and space junk. And Elon Musk just put up another 60,000, or was it 60? I don't know what it is, but there's a hell of a lot of satellites, space junk, and crap up there. That's why, see, you get that on your mustache. That's why I pull this thing out all along. Of course, that choking event when I first started the show, that was a sight to behold. But this is live TV, folks. So, you know, yeah, the world is a big blue marble. No, it ain't. We junked up. We need to save the planet. Well, guess what? It already looks like a landfill from outer space. Well, anyway, this landfill that we're on is hurling through space. In other words, we're, you know, not to mention that we're spinning, you know, we're spinning, hurling, and then being dragged. You know, now that's freaky, right? It's real freaky. And it's all clockwork, and it's all mysterious, right? Because like, it's almost like 24,000 miles per hour, like at the equator, spinning. You know, let's not forget spinning, and then we got axial tilt, right? And then we got precession. I mean, there's all these things, you know, astrophysics and just even general astronomy. Now, that's how, you know, I mean, it's crazy what's going on. That we're on this, and it's like we're still. It's the same thing as like we have a weakened magnetic field now. But even if our magnetic field was at the normal level, the amount of cosmic rays, various cosmic rays coming in, even UVB rays from the sun, which are good for us. In other words, we are like radiation creatures. I mean, we obviously overdose on radiation, and we're, you know, but that said, you know, we actually thrive on radiation. Vitamin D, you know, D3, lay in the sun, activates like hundreds of things in your body, makes you healthy. So that's radiation. You know, it's a form of radiation, you know, UVB radiation. And we're constantly bombarded with that stuff, and we survive. So we're, we're interesting. We kind of think of ourselves as normal. You know what I mean? Like as if we're, we talk about aliens. Now this is all over the place. I'll try to hold everything together and even get back to this Instacart thing and Picard, Star Trek Picard. But this is more into the Picard thing. But I don't want to forget any of this stuff. So that's the show. So let's talk about Instacart. So I ordered Instacart yesterday. That's why I have these 3 different sodas. Because the places that accepted this EBT card, well, the place is, it was the place, only one, was Aldi, right? Might be familiar with that chain in the UK. And so they carried Diet Fago and Diet Coke. So I had to order those. And like I was saying before, I'm not going to like schlep up the hill. All right. Especially since I had hurt my knee about, I don't know, so many weeks ago. When I'm also buying something else because I'm not driving and I got to carry so many bags you can carry. All right. And a 12-pack, a couple of 12 packs. Well, that's pretty much fills your 2 arms. I mean, it's pretty heavy. So I like to order that stuff, but I don't like to order it if I'm getting EBT. If you don't know what EBT is, it's electronic benefits transfer. So when you live at the poverty line, you get food assistance. And I know there's a lot of people that think that's like insane and they're against that. And it's like the welfare state or something. But it really isn't. The program, and especially the way I use it, the program was designed so that farm surplus would not be wasted. Because there was like a lot of farm surplus. Like, I don't know if you remember years ago. In fact, I wish they probably had the program around here, but I don't know where it is and I don't have a car and I don't know anybody. But they used to give these like blocks of cheese and stuff out to people, and it was because otherwise a lot of this stuff was going to waste. It literally was being thrown away. It was like last year during the thing that they were literally like, burying under crops and stuff because they couldn't get them to market and whatnot. There's nothing worse than wasting food in a world where people are starving. So the way we used to call it food stamps. And the way now it's EBT, everything's like tech, right? You can check your balance online. So electronic benefits transfer, you get a card. And they fill your card every month if you qualify based on your income. And pretty much anybody who's below the poverty line is going to get some kind of food assistance. It's not much, but it's enough and it helps. But you have to understand that the idea is that the intention of the plan, is to basically give for people who are struggling to purchase food or on a tight budget, very tight budget, or no budget, to take food that normally would just go to waste. All right. Because it's not like the United States is going to export this to, Central Africa, South America, or Southeast Asia or India. Right. It's just not going to happen. And the cost to do that would be, astronomical and a logistical nightmare. So, and that's a whole nother story. Like, there are things we could do globally in the World Economic Forum could do if they really wanted to end starvation and allow these countries to have a better quality of life for their people. but that's not their interest. They're interested in population or depopulation, not in encouraging and improving the quality of life. So to make a long story longer, this particular place accepts EBT, which is great. So I put in an order yesterday, and that included these drinks. Now, one might say, technically, the program originally was for direct farm products, and it was like cheese, eggs, meat, vegetables, and that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, I would say 90% stick to that. Because I go in the store and I see people using their EBT card when I go physically in the store. And I see they're buying like frozen pizzas and all this junk food. And that's just like uncool, because it's not really what the program's for. But, I drink these things. I do this show. It's arguably with the health, people will tell you they don't think these things are healthy for you. But it's hydration nonetheless. And I've read things about caffeine opening up artery or blood vessels, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing it. I got it, and that's what I did. And to make a long story even longer, so I bring in they just deliver the bat. You do order online. There's an app for people who are in their apps. You can even chat with the person who's shopping for you or something. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to get it. It usually comes within an hour, 2, 3 tops. Same day. So I would happen to be downstairs because I was redoing I did a short video, which I told you is posted at TonyCaravanLive.locals.com. And there's a link for that, This Way to the Beach. And I was down remaking that short video so that people would know that I deleted the earlier video that was in red. Woman in red. I had used I did this in the video that's on Locals, I used my 3D glasses and I covered my camera. And, the video was just a disaster. It was hot. I don't know. It was everything. It was just a mess. So. Sorry about that.
Nothing for you.
Almost had a real sharp pain. One of these days, this tooth is just going to go. And then I'm in real trouble. Because I got holes in my teeth. I showed you that. Somebody new tuning in. Let's see if I did the light. Look at the rock. I'll use my face as a background. These were fillings that were in my teeth since childhood. I have a number of these that fell out. Lucky I got them out because I swallowed them. Imagine having that metal in there. Who knows what it is? It's probably poisonous. And there's some delay now. Echo. So, I heard that they delivered. So the car left, they just leave the stuff at your front door, which is great. You don't have to interact with anybody. You leave a tip online. I usually leave them like a 15% tip. Plus, I'm sure they get some basic thing, like a waitress gets something else. So it's like, it's good for them. It's a job. And, whatever. So I haul the bags in from the front porch, in the 3 boxes of 3 12-packs that I got. And I'm going through the bags, putting stuff in the refrigerator, filing things away. And there's this bag. I get to this last bag. And in this last bag, there's hamburger rolls, real fresh ones too, by the way. 2 bags of potato chips and some kind of juice, little tiny fruit gummy juice thing. It's a box of these things, juice snacks, gummy things, I think. I didn't even open the thing. So being the honest, straightforward person that I am, I went to the app and because there's a way you can give a rating and comment on the delivery. So I gave the person a good rating, the best rating. But under comments, I put, hey, you left an extra bag of stuff I didn't order. I'll leave it on the front porch. You come and pick it up. And then I did another thing in another area to comment on something. Because I have security cameras. So I went upstairs. I was watching this Picard thing, which we'll get to. And so I occasionally look at the security camera through my app, and I could see that the bag was still on my porch. No one had come and picked it up. And then I checked my email, and there was an email in there that said, you don't have to don't worry about returning that extra item, parentheses S. You won't be charged for it. Sorry for the inconvenience. So I got 2 bags of chips, whatever these fruit things are, which my teeth, I really don't want to, this time bomb, because I can't find dentist. Hello, I'd like to make a dentist appointment. We're not accepting any new patients at this time. The last time I had a serious tooth problem, they yanked. I had to have to go to the only place I could go to was an oral surgeon who only yanks teeth. So I even asked him. He goes, no, I don't do any of that stuff anymore. All I do is oral surgery. I'll take the tooth out or that's it. Yank it out. Take it out. It's not one of me front teeth, right? And I had one taken out on this side years ago, so it balances out the mouth. I take care of my teeth. They're pretty white and straight. I can pretty much eat a sandwich and chew or bite an apple. I don't have any problems. But then subsequently, these fillings start coming out. I've got 3 of them. I think I may well have swallowed 1 or 2. There's still a couple in there I could see, these black fillings. Who knows? Could be lead for all I know. No wonder I got cancer. I'll tell you, man. So now I'm confronted with 2 bags of chips. I'm watching Star Trek Picard, and I take a bag of chips upstairs with me. Because that's where I have my big screen TV and my chair. I could kick my feet out on this homemade hassock or whatever you call it, footrest, for lack of a better word. And I'm like eating chips, watching this, binge watching Star Trek Picard because I got the subscription to Paramount Plus. Which, by the way, is probably one of the better ones, at least for me, because they have that Star Trek Discovery. And they also had that CSI, or not CSI. Well, they have CSI, but I don't care about that. But they had the Criminal Minds show, which I watched 12 episodes over, the last couple of months. So they've got like not 12 episodes, seasons. So they've got seasons 13, 14, I don't know, maybe even 16 if there was one, but at least there's 2 more seasons. So it's like, 7-day trial. I'm still in the 7-day trial, but I'll probably get it. It'll be the $9.99. They can't tell you just $10, right? $9.99. I mean, to me, it starts to seem like when you see $9.99, that's like 3 digits. That's like a lot. I'd rather you just say it's $10. It would sound more affordable, actually. $9.99. And it's never $9.99 either, because there's always some kind of tax. That's the other thing. So not only does it really bother me that we live, it's like, get back to that thing. First thing, wash your hands. Yeah. What kind of moron do you think I am? I don't wash my hands. Right? I need the president of the United States telling me to wash my hands. Nanny state, right? Wash your hands. I mean, let that sink in. All right. And it's $9.99. But it's not really $9.99. When you get the bill, it ends up being like, I don't know, $11.49 or $12.26 or something. Why don't you just tell us that that you don't pay taxes? See, the thing is, none of these places, like utility companies, they don't pay taxes. They put like federal something tax or whatever. But they put that on your bill. So they divide. The federal government says to the utility company, electric company, some kind of gas company or whatever it is, right? Says, okay, your taxes are such and such, right? And so they divide it up among their millions of customers, and they add it to each one, their percentage to each one of their bills. So they don't pay taxes. That's the same thing with this $15 an hour thing. Yeah, I just read, I don't know which chain it was out in California. They raised the prices on their menu. So they're either laying off or firing an employee, so they don't have to pay out more than that, which I went through that. I don't know which day I went through that, but I explained that's good business practice because it's necessary, because they're on a budget and a business has to pay rent. The common person out there with the protest sign doesn't understand. When you have a small business, you have to pay all these taxes, you have to pay rent, you have insurance, you have all this like crazy stuff that somebody who's like just got a degree in some protest studies at some university and has never have any real world experience, has no idea what it's like. It's like when I was a kid, I remember my dad told me one time, he goes, wait till you get bills. And I was asking him for, hey, could I get, I don't know, I was asking him for some money, $5 or something. I wanted to do something. And he's like, wait till you get bills. And I didn't even know what he meant. That's how at that point I was that young. And that always stuck with me, one of those things. Wait till you get bills. And it's like when I see these protesters out there, I'm thinking, because they're living in their mom or dad's basement or hanging out together, groups of them, squatting for all we know. It's like, wait till you get bills, or wait till you open a business and see what all suddenly extra costs you have. But so they either add it to the price on the menu. So now if you go to a restaurant or you order food, everything is going to be percentage-wise raised to cover those additional costs. They pass it on to the customer. And these utility companies do the same things. They don't pay taxes. They pass their taxes on to you, and they get away with it. I hate that. $9.99. Why don't you just tell us the real price? Wash your hands. Why wouldn't I? I always wash my hands. Been washing my hands since I was a kid. It's weird. So Paramount, whatever it costs, we'll see when the bill comes. It was listed as $9.99. I'll probably keep it because I'm watching this Picard thing. I might watch that Discovery, and I'll probably watch a couple more, another season of this Criminal Minds, though. AJ, the blonde who is the eye candy on that show, she's just about okay right now physically wise. She's my female eye candy. And, you know, you got to, certain shows you have that. Like on Star Trek Picard, there's no eye candy there because it's the adventure, you know. But on these other shows, I'm not interested in repetitive, you know, behavioral science things because there's only so many things people do, so much aberrant behavior. But anyway, she's like lost. She's on the verge of losing too much weight. Like some of these actresses, have you noticed that? Like in recent years, it's like there's like a perfect female form, and this isn't this is I consider this fact because I've been in the entertainment business and I've seen what has been successful and people who have really made it, right? So it's a general thing. This is a fairly good generalization of what people like. It's like when you're in the advertising business, you know what is going to appeal to the widest audience. Okay. And that's what entertainment and advertising. That's like the biggest thing. You want to appeal to the widest audience or whatever your demographic is. Sometimes you have a particular demographic in mind. You want to make sure you maximize, you know, the number of people that are going to, so you can have higher ratings and or sell more products, services, whatever, subscriptions, blah, blah, blah. And there's a certain female, remember, and make no mistake about it, advertising and entertainment is all about sex appeal. All right? That's the human you know, condition right now, human nature, you know, behavioral sciences, demographic profile. This is what we've created now. I mean, for better or worse. All right, that's it. You know, you want to sell a bag of chips, it's the girl with the big gazungas. All right? You know, they're going to show skin you know, every so often at a certain intervals within a show. I mean, it's sad, you know, I mean, in some cases, you know, and there's like people looking at this going like, oh, that's sexist. No, that's TV. That's movies. That's advertising. Sex sells. Yeah, it's one of the oldest things in the book. Well, anyway, this blonde, she's like just at the point where if she loses any more weight, she's just not going to be sexy. Now, in her mind or some other person's warped mind, yeah, maybe. But she won't appeal to the widest possible audience. And that's the thing they miss. And I always watch this, and the ratings go down, the product doesn't sell, or the actress fades into oblivion. Because in their mind, you know, they see, you know, the camera adds so many pounds or whatever. Or they see these waifs, heroin waifs. Used to call them the models, those idiotic models going down the runway, right? Where you could see their bones. Because they're easiest to just throw these frocks over top of. It's like Hollywood. You got the little people, they're Munchkin Land, because it's easier to fit them in the frames. But These girls just don't get it. And I've watched this for decades. And you'll see a girl come out with a perfect body form. And there is a perfect body form, you know, and they'll have it. And you go, wow. And people watch that show and it becomes popular. And that person is the eye candy, particularly on TV. Eye candy is very important. This is way before the internet. I mean, the eye candy word actually came along in the internet age, but I mean, it was always there in your mind. And then the moment this like particular girl, right, it became like, you know, her arms are like, sticks. The show loses its popularity. That's just a little side thing. Any of you Hollywood women out there, all right, eat some food, eat healthy, but put on a couple of pounds. Don't turn yourself into some heroin waif, because you're going to lose your income. The show's going to lose its ratings. People watch shows. They like eye candy. I mean, that's just a fact. It's so weird, I know, to talk about, but people don't get it. The electronic radiation in here is totally melting everything. I'm sorry. Let me drop everything and work on your problem. This is leftover from when I was a creative director at my ad agency. Used to have that on my desk because I was always drinking these kinds of things. I used to drink too many of these things. So back to Picard. You got your little thing. And the one woman on Picard, at least of season 1, whatever her name is, she could use about 15 pounds. But she's not there to be eye candy. It's a space adventure. I want to talk about space too. So now let's get into the thing. My leg feels like it's on the verge of Charlie horsing, my left leg. Hey Maggie, how you doing? I'm sorry I haven't talked to you in a while. Weeks. Come on. My leg. Fuck. Pardon my fornication under the consent of the king. So what's going on right now in my head is that sound is always present when you're on. I was saying yesterday it was like an aircraft, but things seem to have settled into this, like it's like a spaceship. The Enterprise background sound. Like a lot of people they're not really conscious of that kind of thing. Like even if the old Star Trek, the original series, like I said, never waste an example when you could. Scotty, you know what I'm talking about, that background noise. It was always present. So that doesn't bother me at all. It's like I'm on the star, like in other words, I'm on the Enterprise or whatever. It's the echo that gets weird, and I turn the echo down. It's not as bad as it was. It's supposed to be reverb. They call it echo. I'm calling it echo. That's that. But we're hurling. So let's get into this space thing. So this is the main topic. All right, let's stay on topic.
Rock Flux Live.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Well, let's hear it.
Insert your station call letters here. Here we go.
I gotta go.
You're clear to go. Hey, don't think this sounds really cool? Let's roll. Go.
There's really no relevance to that one since it's really for music, but. We've kind of been using that one.
The only station that matters.
As our beginning. So the show has finally begun. It's 1 hour into it. So we have enough of,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Now we'll just get into the Rock Flux YouTube channel topic. So we're spinning like crazy. There's a delay when I do that. So I'm best just to stay still. Then it seems my voice catches up. I know this is weird for you, but it's really weird for me watching myself. Oh, come on. I shook my head a little while ago. I guess I'm going to move this thing to locals somehow and get into production, back into production. I mean, I've tried the BitChute thing. The problem with BitChute is I've uploaded videos there. I get more views on BitChute. I haven't been to BitChute months and months and months and months. But when I did last year, I uploaded a few videos there. And, a song on YouTube would get 2 views. And on BitChute, it would get like 150 within like the first week or 2. So, if you're audience conscious, then I guess that's a thing. But the problem is they don't have an app because they're considered like the bad boys, so to speak. Only like the big 3. Well, you can say there's more than the big 3, but I mean, it's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, primarily. So your videos that you can link to on Twitter or other places have to be YouTube videos primarily. And the apps that are available on a lot of the most common things like Fire Stick, Apple TV, those sort of interfaces, set-top boxes, smart TVs, they don't give you opportunities to use these alternative video sources. And so you're either on them, and all in, or not. Or you're some kind of YouTube millionaire. Like I see, I'm not monetized. Or you're somebody who's like so into it that it's your life. Because what you have to understand is that the reason I switched to YouTube Live is because I could do it live. Now, why I'm being delayed, and having problems, though none of my equipment has changed. And I cannot imagine it having anything to do with a little bit of reverb in the audio channel. Right? It doesn't make any sense from a technical standpoint. And I do understand audio technology. Like I said, I've been doing these kinds of things for 25, 30 years on the internet before half these people working for these companies were even born. So that live thing, they kind of have a monopoly on. And otherwise, if you say, okay, now, if I decided that this was so important to my life, what I'm telling you right now, this show, that I'm going to spend the morning producing it, creating it in another program with all these effects added in individually instead of just on the fly, right? It's the term you use. This is on the fly when I go like this.
This is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
But see, if I were producing this show, all right, in a program, I would have to find that audio cut, and then add that to the right spot. And so that's that. And that's not cool. You know, that takes time. And then you have to, once that thing is put together, then it has to process, so you create the file. And then you have to take that file, and then you have to upload that file to wherever. And if it's multiple places, you see, so you could spend your entire day producing videos, and then you would have no life. Well, I don't want to do that. You know, if the sun comes out today at 10 or 11, I want to go out, sit in my lounge chair, and hang out, get about a half hours of vitamin D, some sunshine. I want to look at my tomato plants and do some little pruning and things of that nature. I'm going to have to cut some of that lettuce and bring it in and wash it up real good. The lettuce is out of control. The lettuce is like this high. You know, it's like curlicue lettuce. And I have other lettuce that's just like green leaves that I guess would form actually heads of lettuce. But I could feed a lot of people with lettuce right now. So anyway, the taste test that I started the show with. So I would say that in this taste test, Diet Coke, and I prefer almost the Diet Faygo over Diet Coke, and you know, and Diet Pepsi somewhere in between there. But it's ahead of the Diet Coke, so I don't know. But I'm stuck with the 12-pack of Diet Coke because through that Instacart thing and Aldi, they're a Coca-Cola. You know, they have the Coca-Cola franchise or however that works. It's like when you go to a bar or something sometimes. And it's like this thing that, you know, now that I think about it, it's funny. Wherever that is, it's in here somewhere. I mean, let's just do it for the sake of it.
One cheeseburger, one Pepsi, one cheese. Cheeseburger. Pepsi, cheese. What do you want?
I have a cheeseburger and a small Coke.
No Coke, Pepsi.
Pepsi.
You see, you know, you go to a restaurant, it's like no Coke, Pepsi. In those days, now you have so many choices, it's ridiculous. But they're a Coke place as opposed to a Pepsi place. A supermarket down the street sells Pepsi, but Aldi sells Coke. So, Coca-Cola. So, yeah, you know, in my years, I'm on board the Enterprise. And I've got this reverb sound that may or may not. We'll see what today's video playback is like. There are 0 people listening to me right now. The algorithm just came on, I think. But anyhow, so the Earth is spinning around at a ridiculous speed. Okay? But it just so happens that due to the size and the circumference, right, of the Earth, that coincides with our 24-hour clock. So that the speed, because of this immense size of our planet, is like the movement to us of the minute hand on a clock. I was trying to explain this in a video once to a flat earther, but it didn't come out right. And I think Joe Rogan saw the video and he said, yeah, some guy tried to explain this, but I didn't really come across right. It's like, screw you, Rogan. You're a YouTube millionaire, all right? You know, you sold out, right? I mean, you know, more power to you, I guess. I just hope, you know, you do something good with your money instead of just spending it all on dope and weird things. too many people who have big audiences waste them, by selling out. They're afraid to cross the line, They don't want to ruffle any feathers. But I tried to explain that. So yeah, in a clockwork universe, which it is kind of, but it's not perfect clockwork. That's why this whole Nova thing that I've been talking about, you have to understand. When I say this, we're at the 12,000 year cycle, and some people try to pin it down to a specific time, like this guy Douglas Vogt, who tries to say October of 2026 or something like that. I'm saying that, yeah, we're in the 12,000 year cycle, and we could look back at like the Younger Dryas period, and and even beyond that, go back at other 12,000 year cycles, 36,000, that, etc. And it's all approximately around that time, but it's not a perfect clockwork. Like, for example, when we had that big earthquake, there was a big earthquake in Japan that caused the Fukushima thing. The earth actually, that affected the earth, in the earth rotation, these are milliseconds in some instances, are the effects from these, geological or these events. But, over what we call deep time, or just even, tens of thousands of years, they make a difference, right? They can affect things. And so anyway, but for practical purposes, the earth is spinning. That's why we have day and night. Okay. And the 24-hour cycle, more or less. Like, the day isn't exactly 24 hours, 0, 0, 0. You know what I mean? It's like, it's changed. Subtly, but it's approximately. It's the same with the seasons. The seasons have definitely changed. That's why a lot of people are confused about this climate stuff. Like I say right now, like where I am, and having lived as long as I've lived, being a somewhat immortal person, rejuvenated. Look at a video I made like a year or so ago. Look at my face, and then look at me today, and figure out how I did that. But I don't want to talk about that. You can rejuvenate yourself without. I'm not talking. I didn't know makeup or anything weird like that. Immortality is not all it's cranked up to be. That was going to be the title of a show once, but I decided that would be too confusing for people. So you still got health problems. Immortality does not necessarily mean you're bulletproof. Right. Okay, so it just so happens, so if you take that 24,000, right, you divide it up by the hours in the day and all of that, it comes down to, because there used to be these flat earther type of people that would say, well, if the earth is spinning so fast, why are, and they would like compare it to like astronauts training or pilots training in those things where they spin around. Why aren't their faces like, why aren't we all like type of thing, or falling off? Well, the answer is because of the sheer size of the planet, that speed is the equivalent to a minute hand on a clock, on an analog clock. So like, I don't have one in this room, but if you have one somewhere in your house, I have a couple of them. Excuse me. stare at a minute hand sometime, and you can't even see it move. You know, that's because it's takes 60 seconds of the second hand to go around. And so the minute hand only moves incrementally every 60 seconds. So it's like, you know, you just can't see it. So that's the spin of the Earth. Now you have the Earth going around the sun. Well, that's 67,000 miles per hour. Now that's pretty freaky. Okay? And now that one you got to say, so we're on a spaceship now. And you're thinking, well, why can't we feel that 67,000 miles per hour? Oh. You know, I understand the 24,000. That's like the minute hand. It's a big globe, oblate spheroid, and all that jazz. Okay, minute hand, circumference, you know, all that. But now this big oblate spheroid is going around the sun at 64 or 67,000 miles per hour. You're on a spaceship Earth. And the answer is that we're used to it, just like we're used to the radiation. In other words, our muscle tone, you know, the centrifugal force of the spin of the Earth, which is also a factor. You know, some people talk about gravity. I think gravity is overrated. You know, I think there, you know, forces, the concept of a force, magnetic force, forces, centrifugal force. The word force is not used enough in science today. You know, forces of nature. But basically, the centrifugal force is holding you during that 67,000 mile per hour journey around the sun. I think the centrifugal force plays into that. You know, now you could be an physicist out there, and unfortunately, I don't have any comments enabled because I was getting to spam, you know, weird stuff, and you know, so I just can't have them there. And I don't know why I was particularly getting them, and these other people apparently don't. The YouTube millionaires, they don't seem to get that stuff. And I think apparently you could be liable, not liable, but they can use your comments against, you know, as another excuse to like ban your channel or strike you or something. So I just said to heck with it. And when I have chat enabled, first of all, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it even does worse with the slowdown. And again, I have this like double quad core processor with 16 gigs of RAM that there's no, you know, this is more than adequate to do this basic, you know, to process what I'm doing right now. So it is nothing on my end. And I checked with my ISP and my bandwidth is high. My up speeds are, uplink is fine. You know. So anyway, so we're going 67,000 miles around the sun. But if that weren't crazy enough, the sun is traveling at 450,000 miles, something like that, through the Milky Way, you know, is dragging us along, because it's not really that traditional like thing you see in classrooms or on TV shows. like the sun's here in the middle and the planets are all perfectly aligned around, going in these elliptical orbit, whatever. It's like the sun's the fist and the planets are like, yeah, they're at various orbits, but it's like the sun's moving and it's like, you know. So it's like, consider the sun, this star, almost like a comet traveling at 450,000 miles, right? What did I say? I forget if I said per minute. 450,000 miles per hour. Okay. That's pretty fast. And just opening that somehow caused a delay. You see why I want to give up on this? All I want to do is do a show. I got all this stuff. All this time invested in this. And these people, somebody's playing a game with me. Yeah. Like I said in another show, it takes the wind out of your sails. You know, you're already walking on eggshells. You remember that show? I had that, you know, that graphic. So you're walking on eggshells to deal with the terms of service, and you're afraid to say this word or that word because, you know, you can't play music, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, it's like that Tom Waits song. Tom, do this, Tom, do that. Tom, don't do that. Right? So you're walking on eggshells, and if that weren't enough, then they just take the wind out of your sails. And all you want to do is a morning show that just talks about ideas and different things and goes places. And yeah, part's personal, part of it's crazy, part of it's weird. But, you know, there's always something interesting. You know, or you think so. I think so. Anyway. So we're following it. We're in orbit with this, and then this star, this comet-like star that's traveling at 450,000 miles per hour. And it's not so much as that star is dragging us at 450,000 miles per hour, but as it's dragging us, we're spinning around it, you know, in its wake or whatever you want to call it, at 67,000 miles per hour. And, you know, we're rotating, we're revolving around, and we're rotating at 24,000 miles per hour, something ridiculous like that. So it's this, like, we're way out in space. We're a spaceship. And so here's where the weirdness comes in and why people they question things, you know, so much. Because this is where mathematics, you know, people, they use chalkboards and come up with all these formulae, you know, that it's like at a certain point, it just doesn't make, you know, sense. Or it seems like illogical, or just like not practical to the average person. You say, well, okay, so we're on, you know, so when we go to the moon, for example, because remember, then the moon's going around us, and it just so happens coincidentally to be in some sync, so we only ever see one side of the moon, right? That's why they call it the dark side of the moon, but it's not really the dark side. It's just the far side of the moon. Because at certain times when it's facing the sun, the far side of the moon, or dark, isn't what we call dark side of the moon, isn't dark. It's fully lit by the sun. It's just, it never faces us. Because of this clockwork, excuse me, this weird clockwork thing that like we were somehow caught up in. But as I said earlier, it's not exactly pure clockwork. So when we send a probe to Mars, you know, or something leaves the planet, you know, once it gets out of the, you know, so-called gravity, centrifugal force, whatever, the field around our planet, all right, and if for a moment, you know, that moment between the Earth and Mars, or the Earth and the Moon, where it's technically in, it's neither, you know, it's in space. Well, why is it, if we're in this thing going, if we're being dragged by the sun at 450,000 miles per hour, and we're, you know, going around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, all right, and this thing, and we're all like kind of connected in this, you know, this solar system that's all like doing this thing. Well, when something leaves the planet, is no longer like a part of, you know, for that, once it gets out beyond the Earth's force, but it hasn't reached the force of another planet in the solar system or moon or whatever. Why isn't that thing just like left behind? I mean, 450,000 miles per hour. And so the fuel in that thing, I mean, how does that exactly work? So there's like a field generated. I mean, we know this, the sun has this magnetic field. And so the sun holds together the solar system with its force. So anything within our solar system is kind of caught up in that entire thing. So you're not really, some people, because that's a question some people have had when I've tried to explain this before. It's that you're never really out in space in that sense when you're out, once you leave the Earth's, you know, sphere of influence, but you still haven't reached the sphere of influence of Mars or the moon or whatever. Well, it's not that, it's that the sun then is holding the whole, you know, solar system together and dragging everything with it. Space dust, meteors. And that's why this whole thing, you know, including, you know, the Van Allen belt and, you know, and the, you know, asteroid belt, you know, everything. So it's really weird. So and then this is all in this grand cycle. You know, and then there are cycles beyond the cycles, because then you talk about, you know, our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And that whole spin and you know, and then there's these you know, there's cycles on top of cycles. And in the early days and in previous civilizations that have come and gone, they've all studied these things and they've all come to some of the same conclusions, you know, as far as, you know, how what we see as astronomy and constellations and that sort of thing. These are very ancient, you know, archetypes. and it's fascinating, right? That stuff has been passed down from basically civilizations that no longer exist, that have literally been wiped out, but that we still use the same, basically the same structure of this 12 constellations, more or less, and this grand cycle and this clockwork. And that was always a part of, it seems to be a part of all these ancient civilizations. And we know that because we know that through archaeology. And then even, in more recent millennia through, texts, that we've discovered, whether they've been scrolls or things carved on rocks or what have you, or these structures, ancient structures that were based upon these things. Now, it's just fascinating to think about that. So it's like, we're way out in space, man. We're on a spaceship and we're traveling at unbelievable speeds. But when I was watching Star Trek Picard yesterday, and they were going through part of that series, and it's not really whatever they call it, when you give away something. It's not like I'm giving a spoiler. It's not a spoil. This isn't a spoiler alert because it doesn't really matter. Part of that show is they call it the artifact, but there's like this Borg cube that was abandoned or left there, and there's some stuff, and that's part of this season 1 of this. I don't know if there's even a season 2, to be honest with you. I'd check, but this broadcast is just jumping in out of being in sync and out of sync. So I can't, I just feel like I say, I'm walking on eggshells and the wind's out of my sails. It's crazy. But they show all this technology and all these spaceships, right? And even when they were on Earth, it's like all this far out stuff. And I'm like a science fiction guy, like from childhood. Literally. And to this day, I'm watching this, and even though what I'm about to say, is, might not go over well with other science fiction fans, because you have to have that suspension of disbelief, is what they call it, when you're watching something like that. And I have that. I'm able to do that. But, I'm also able sometimes to just, the older I get, I'm able to have suspension of disbelief, but at the same time, simultaneously, my mind is also looking and examining what I'm watching, So I'm not just like that. The classic thing, did you ever watch somebody watch TV? They're like, like they're somehow, next time if you're ever in a group situation, or if you're at a movie theater, if they ever, do that, allow people to do that again, like look around and you'll see certain people that are just like, they're no longer in their body. Their body is nothing and their mind is like totally, it's the same way. It's a classic thing when you're watching television of any kind, a movie, that you don't see the wall or you don't see things, right? You're caught up into the screen, which is a really weird effect if you think about it. even watching this, I'm mentioning this, so now you're becoming conscious of, if you're watching it on a computer or a keyboard, you see a keyboard, or if you're watching it on a smart TV, now you'll realize you're in a room. But for a moment there, you were just caught up in, the frame. Well, I find myself, it's not so, I still get caught up in the frame. I mean, that's just like a thing. But when I'm watching something, I found that as time has gone on, I'm able to still enjoy the program, the science fiction program or whatever it is, and suspend disbelief, but I still am able to simultaneously contemplate certain things. And I was watching this thing and I'm contemplating, I'm going, we're never going to build that kind of technology, right? I've said this before, our space station is like a couple of tin cans, connected together, and a bunch of with some solar panels, connected to one another. There's no 2001, spinning, circular thing. And, we don't even have the space shuttle program. I mean, the government, the secret space program has a little shuttle. They claim it's unmanned, but who knows what the Space Force has. But, the vast technology they show, and, even in some of the Star Trek movies, the places where they would build these things, right? And they'd be these unbelievable structures. And when you think about it in time scale and the technology, it's pure fantasy, even to a science fiction fan. It's pure fantasy. It's fantasy science fiction. And that gets, like I said, I'm not trying to be, I am a science fiction fan, and I will watch this, and I'll probably watch Science Fiction Discovery. And I just watched that movie Infinity, because that was also on Paramount. That's what got me to do the trial. And that was about this, that was pure fantasy, this reincarnation thing, but they had some weird tech on that too. But I lean more towards that idea of the concept of immortality and civilization that's less machine oriented. Now, obviously, when you think of the concept, if you don't understand Star Trek and you don't know what the Borg is, this is over your head. It's not over your head. It's just not even in your head. You don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have enough time left to get into an explanation of that. But yeah, it's possible that if you have some a civilization that somehow survives catastrophic events, cyclical catastrophic events. And that's what I'm trying to get at. The sun is hurling through space, dragging along the earth, which is also this spaceship that's moving, and there's all this space junk and these objects, comets, all right? And so, and just other things, rogue planets, stars exploding, things we don't even know about, And the idea is that we're moving at such speeds that these things, at any given time over these grand cycles can encounter our planet, our star, other planets, cause some sort of collisions, catastrophes, and all sorts of things. And it's just a matter of time. And Earth's history, the solar system's history, seems to be riddled with these sorts of things. We call them, they call them extinction events. And now the thing is, it's not so much, no one denies the fact that the Earth has had this, just the Earth, because who knows, we don't, whatever happened on other planets, Mars, and Venus, for example. But no one really denies, extinction events. The argument among people who are into this kind of thing is now on specifically what was exactly the cause of that extinction event. That's even with this Younger Dryas thing right now. The argument is, was this a nova, not a supernova? Was this a nova event? Some people call a micronova. But was it some kind of nova event that caused the last catastrophe 12,000 years ago? Or was it some sort of comet or two comets? Something hitting North America, maybe something hitting Greenland, something like that. These are topics that people are actually arguing about. Scientists, astrophysicists, astronomers. And so when you take that into consideration and you look back at, I would say deep time, but not even deep time, just millennia, just 12,000, 24,000, 36,000, say 72,000 years. Stuff like, periods of time like that, which we can grasp, right? Humans have been around, during, that span of time. And you see that civilizations haven't survived, that there seems to have been these cyclical catastrophic events that led to near extinctions of the human race, and obviously flora and fauna. So what is it when we look at our own civilization today? What type of ideal conditions somewhere in the universe or somewhere within our galaxy, because it would have to be that primarily because of the distances, all right? That would some ideal situation that would exist, that there would be a planet that would dodge the bullet, so to speak, for 1 million years, so it could become the Borg, right? And assimilate all of these cultures and these cubes flying through, space, seeking out other civilizations, planets to assimilate and become this thing and develop these technologies that allow, create force fields and protective shields and ridiculous weapons and this unbelievable technology. Because from what we see and from what we stand, where we stand, and we seem to be in a pretty much Goldilocks zone, more or less. And we're not, and even being in the Goldilocks zone hasn't worked out too well for us. I'm here today because we're in the Goldilocks zone. But 25 years from now, this planet could be looking at another near extinction event, or tomorrow, because of these near Earth objects that, we can't track them all. And it's like, bam, we're hit. And then it's back to, back to picking up the pieces, starting over again. And then whatever remnants of civilization are left become myth. And people argue over it. And they say, oh, they were ancient astronauts, when in fact it was just the previous civilization, remnants of the previous civilization that have passed down over thousands and thousands of years. And the only things that really survive are things in caves or things that are carved on rock or stone, right? Because everything ultimately over, tens of thousands of years just, disintegrates. Unless it's like encapsulated in rock sort of thing. And there are, and there has, if you study this forbidden archaeology and certain things, they've discovered a few things that are very, intriguing about the possibility of technology from previous civilizations on this planet who just didn't survive, the cataclysm. So all of that makes you just basically think. It's just something to think about, and that's why I find space travel. And I know people don't like to hear this, but it's like, we had 50 years. We squandered from the time of the Apollo mission to the current time. We squandered those like 50 years. We could have had, if you've seen the movie 2001, 2010, and I believe there's going to be a 2050 or something. I mean, I think there's another book that's going to come out or is out. I don't know. I saw an interview, with Arthur C. Clarke, and he was talking about he was working on that. I don't know. At one time, and I haven't done, and it was just something I saw a while back, and I never really followed up to see if anything of that. I don't know that when the interview was and if it was ever written, and I don't know. That's something you could check into. But I mean, I think most people understand 2001 and have seen that, and there's no reason by 2001 why we couldn't have had, that base on the moon. We couldn't have had a real space station or stations. We couldn't have, had spaceships that could travel to Jupiter, right? That sort of thing. But we squandered that time, right? We became this me culture, and then now we have this, and people think this is like some crowning achievement, the smartphone. But really all it is a diversion from technology. It's not really technology. And that's people go, what are you talking about? It is technology. No, it's a diversion. It's a diversion from, reality, and it's a diversion from real technology. Because we've done nothing since this thing has monopolized us. Because how are people using it? And this is a generalization. I'm not talking about some specific scientific applications that some academics are doing and using, and certain apps that people have created among that group of people, researchers and what have you. No, I'm talking about as a species. People are spending their entire day wrapped around this thing, right? They're either trying to get dopamine hits from Twitter, they're sharing ridiculous photos on Instagram and Photoshop, right? They're doing stupid stuff on TikTok. It's all a big game. It's all a big game. We're ordering food online like I did. We're not participating in the world. We're not participating in life, and we're not creating technologies that will, enhance the human being. Like I always say, there's still 650,000 people a year dying of heart-related diseases. 600,000 people dying of cancer. And the list goes on and on and on. We have this bioelectric brain. I went out of sync again. Walking on eggshells and the wind's knocked out of my sails. But we have this bioelectric brain, and we still don't understand the hard problem of consciousness. People are still apart from me, nobody talks about savants, people with photographic memories and total recall, the Einsteins and Da Vinci's. I repeat this all the time. Excuse me. And there's been no effort. I mean, generalization. Maybe there's some academics over at MIT and Oxford and some of these places, maybe they're working on things like this. But it's all they're looking like. It's all like towards this artificial intelligence, augmented reality, transhumanism, robotics, algorithms, machines. It's like an unrealistic thing, and we squandered the time we had, I believe. And we squandered the technology that we created, the internet, and even the concept of these devices that could, assist us as tools. We haven't improved the human condition one bit. And when you look around the world, and particularly in the former United States and former Western civilization, which really was the beacon on the hill, right? Because as we fall, and we've fallen, there's nothing keeping the barbarians, from just, using their catapults and ladders and to just come over the wall, and everything to just revert into total mayhem. So you're either facing down the barrel of an extinction event from the sun, the chances of other catastrophe through some comet type of situation, near Earth object. These diseases, people are messing with diseases now, gain of function stuff. I mean, that's not getting well. Radiation, nuclear weapon, proliferation, military industrial complex, right? And then all you have is the media trying to pit people against people, for superficial, the color of their skin or race, religion, this kind of weirdness. And so you have this crumbling of civilization happening right before your eyes. And all you're doing is arguing about it on Twitter or making YouTube videos or whatever. And you say, oh, well, what are you doing? It's like, I'm not arguing about it. I'm pointing things out. I'm trying to say, wake up to reality. Find happiness and live out your life the best you can. Get away from the stress of life. We're fragile beings on this ball hurling through space We don't know how much time we may or may not have left. And don't waste your time caught up in foolhardiness. And don't live your life in stress, walking on eggshells, allowing them to just take the wind out of your sails. Try to pursue happiness. Live a decent quality of life, right? And don't get caught up. If you want, science fiction has become fantasy. And if you want to be entertained like it, like I am, because I do still enjoy it, try to find a life. Don't count on some technology, some transhumanism, some artificial or augmented reality or algorithm or whatever to save you. And certainly don't count on some cult of personality, pop cultural, political icon, right? And I don't care left or right, red, blue, right? This or that. You know, that's all just a game. And I stand by my thing. The U.S. is no longer exists. It's a corporatocracy. And all Western civilization is just a conglomeration of corporatocracies that are basically being overseen by an organized crime syndicate. They comprise an organized crime syndicate. And your best way to survive and be happy, survive and thrive, as I've said many times in the past, is to basically to decouple yourself as much as possible from that corporatocracy and to not get caught up in their diversionary devices like these smartphones and mainstream or corporate TV, and try to live more in the real world, use your five senses, experience life. That's the purpose of life, is to experience. That's what consciousness is. It's your connection, all right? It's your connection to the soul, you know? And be happy. And even though it's a little bit downbeat, you know, the way I'm presenting this, it doesn't have to be. And I'll tell you, you know, yesterday to me, I did a 2-hour show, and it basically had to just, I started watching it back and I go, screw this, and I'm just going to delete it. As the day wore on, the day got better. And by the time I was laying down to go to sleep at night, I felt okay. You know, I felt good. So, you know, it's the worst of times, it's the best of times. But, you know, free your mind. Be aware of all these things. That's the difference between me and these people who make YouTube millionaires and people caught up on social media. Is that I'm just trying to tell you, like, be aware. Free your mind. Look at the big picture. All right? And pursue happiness. And happiness means you've got five senses, experience life. That's what this is. And be happy that you're alive at this moment, this interglacial period, right? This period between catastrophes, because that seems to be the reality when you look at archaeology, anthropology, astrophysics, right? The nature of things in general. And we're squandering our time, all right? Every time you go and check, you know, your status, every time you go and argue with somebody over some political thing or create some meme, you're squandering, you're wasting your time when you could be living. You're a physical being. You have skin, you know, you have ears, you have eyes. You have this body, this mind. Don't squander it. That's what you are. You're a human being. And you happen to be living at a time when there is no catastrophe. There's no earth crisis. There's no climate crisis. Don't worry about that. The earth is going to do just fine. We are just living on this planet. It's not even our planet. This planet is the primary life form on this planet are trees and flowers and plants. You understand that? We exhale CO2. That's what they breathe. And when we die, we become fertilizer for them. Wake up to that reality. And this thing is just totally out of sync. So anyway, hopefully this thing is watchable. But I hope you get that idea. So good morning. Have a good morning and a good week. Happy Monday. And like I say, I'm still contemplating whether I'm going to continue these things or not. These eggshells and the wind being taken out of my sails is starting to get old. So one way or another, I'll talk to you. Remember, TonyCaravanLive.com, TonyCaravanLive.locals.com, and there's links below to my, in case you can't remember that. And find me, seek me out, and we'll continue the conversation. Take care. Cheers.